Ever felt like being a good person means always being available? I know I have. And always saying yes, and also always forgiving, always understanding, and always just putting someone else's needs before your own. And maybe you've even felt guilty sometimes for setting boundaries because you thought, well, if I really love this person, shouldn't I just be there for them? And I have been thinking about this a lot lately, and I want to start by saying that I'm not a pastor. I am not a Bible scholar or someone who has all the answers. And I also don't necessarily label myself as someone who belongs to a particular religion or denomination. But I believe that God is one. I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I believe religion can be a pathway for people to find God or to find spirituality. And for me personally, the Bible is one of the things that I turn to when I don't know what to do. And I don't always understand everything in it, I'll be honest. And I don't always get it right, even when I know this is what the Bible says. But I do see the Bible as a guiding light. I see it as a source of wisdom that helps me reflect on how I want to live, how I want to treat people, and also how I should treat myself. And there's one verse that really made me think about boundaries and relationships. It is Mark 12, chapter 12, verse 31. And you probably have heard this: love your neighbor as yourself. And there's something really important about that last part. As yourself. So I think what the Bible is saying us is loving others doesn't mean abandoning yourself or abandoning ourselves. When we hear, when we hear the word love, I think a lot of us immediately think about sacrifice. And sacrifice can absolutely be a part of love. We know this. Like if you're a parent, we know this. There are going to be times when we have to put someone else's needs before our own. And as parents, like I was saying, as spouses, as friends, also as a family member. But I don't actually believe that loving someone means completely disappearing inside of that relationship, if that makes sense. Because the verse doesn't say love your neighbor instead of yourself. It says love your neighbor as yourself. So there is an assumption, I think, that we have to have a relationship with ourselves too, right? And that really changed the way I think about boundaries. Because sometimes we can become so focused on being good person or being a good person that we forget that we're also a person. We have feelings, we have limits, we do have our needs as well, and we have values. And we have the right to say, this isn't healthy for me. We have this right. And I hope you start using it. Another thing that I want to mention is that boundaries are not the opposite of love. I think a lot of people hear the word boundary and they immediately think cold or selfish or maybe like unforgiving. What else I could think of? Maybe unloving or like, I don't know, whatever. I don't know, but I just don't think boundaries necessarily mean that. Sometimes boundaries simply saying, I love you, but I can't continue participating in something that is hurting me. Or I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean you automatically get the same access to me. So that's really powerful. So I hope you start using that if you're in any kind of situation, that is complicated. I understand where you're coming from, but I still have to make the decision that's what's right for me. And I think that's a really important distinction. So because forgiveness and access are not necessarily the same thing, you can forgive someone and still have boundaries. You can love someone and still say no. You can also understand someone's pain without allowing their pain to become your pain. And you can care about someone without allowing them to continually take advantage of you. I know, it's a lot. And I also want to share about being kind doesn't mean being a martyr. Is that how you say it? Martyr. There's something else that I've been learning as I've gotten older, is that being a good person doesn't mean allowing everyone to have unlimited access to you. Sometimes we confuse kindness with self-abandonment. We think that if I say no, I'm selfish. What else? If I stand up for myself, I'm being difficult. Or if I stop helping this person, I'm not a good friend. Sheesh. If I leave this relationship, maybe I'm the one who didn't try hard enough. All those like guilt stuff and question stuff like in our heads. But there's a difference between being compassionate and constantly sacrificing your own well-being to just keep someone else comfortable, if I'm making sense. And I also don't think we're called to live. I believe we are not called to live our lives that way. Jesus demonstrated compassion, but he also withdrew. He rested. He walked away from crowds. He didn't respond to every demand placed on him. And he didn't make himself endlessly available to everyone. And that makes me think about something. It makes me think that maybe boundaries aren't about loving people less, and that maybe it's sometimes they're about learning how to love people in a healthier way. Another point that I would like to share is that you can love someone without agreeing with everything they do. I know, it's kind of tough, right? Another thing I've learned is that love doesn't require agreement. You can love your family and disagree with them. Can you relate? You can love your spouse and have different opinions. That's totally fine. Agree to disagree. And you can love a friend and recognize that that the friendship isn't healthy for you anymore, you know. We can also love someone and still hold them accountable. And you can also love someone without fixing their problems for them. I used to be that person. And sometimes the most loving thing we can do isn't to rescue someone. Don't be so quick to fix their problems. Sometimes it's just allowing them to experience the consequences of their own choices. Because how do they learn if we're just there to try and fix it right away? Because if I constantly rescue someone from every consequences, I am actually helping them grow. Or am I preventing them from learning? Right? So we gotta consider that. That's something I'm still learning myself. And also, another thing I'd like to share is that the boundary also starts with ourselves. And here's the part that I think is really important, is that sometimes boundaries aren't just about what we ask other people to do. They're about what we are willing to accept. And maybe I need to stop saying yes when I really mean no. And also maybe we need to stop explaining ourselves over and over again to someone who has already decided to understand or decided not to understand us, right? Maybe we need to stop chasing people who don't reciprocate. Maybe we need to stop accepting disrespect just because I'm afraid of losing the relationship, right? This is very common. And maybe we need to stop abandoning ourselves just to keep the peace. Because if I'm constantly betraying myself to maintain a relationship, eventually I'm going to become resentful. It's not sustainable. And resentment isn't exactly the foundation of a healthy relationship. So, these are my personal reflection. I'm not saying I've mastered this, not at all. Like I said, I'm not perfect. And I'm still learning how to love people without losing myself. I'm still learning, and I'm still learning when to speak and when to be quiet, and when to forgive, when to let go, when to stay and when to walk away. I'm getting better at it, that's for sure. But it's a learning curve. This is one of the reasons I appreciate having scripture as something I can return to. When I don't know what to do, I can just pause and I can pray about it. Doesn't matter where I am, I can pray about it and I can reflect. I can ask myself, what kind of person am I becoming through this decision? Am I acting from fear, from ego, or am I acting from resentment, or from the need to be liked? Or am I acting from love, wisdom, and self-respect? So consider those questions. I don't always immediately know the answer because sometimes it can be confusing just depending on what I'm going through, but having something to come back to just helps me slow down. And sometimes that's all we need. A little bit of space between what happened and how we choose to respond to the situation. And like I said, I'm still a work in progress. So if you are someone who has struggled with boundaries because you thought being a good person meant always putting everyone else first, maybe this is your reminder. You don't have to become a martyr to prove that you love someone. You can be kind and still have boundaries. And we can forgive and still protect ourselves. We can love someone and still walk away from unhealthy behavior. So you can say no and still be a good person. And maybe that's part of what Jesus meant when he said, love your neighbor as yourself. Not instead of yourself. Not at the expense of yourself, but as yourself. Because perhaps learning to love others well also means learning to treat ourselves with that same compassion, dignity, and grace. And I'm still learning what that looks like, to be honest, in my own life. I mean, look at me making these videos as if I'm perfect. I'm not at all. And, if you're learning too, you're definitely not alone. But I'd like to thank you for being here. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. And yeah.